This still did not serve as evidence that Gaspard was the one doing it, of course. In the end, should I or should I not pass the information I have over to Melchi? I wouldn't want to hurt her, but as things stand. So. That, another source of information, of yours sounds a tad suspicious, yeah. Mind elaborating on that, Ash? Hey, stop poking me with your nose. It's creepy. If you're gonna do it, then do it to Pochi's tail. But Pochi's, already asleep. Oh boy, fast to visit dreamland as ever, this girl. Hey, check out her snot bubble, nice shape, huh? It's magnificent. Its perfect arc makes it look spherical from all angles. It's devoid of impurities. And the way it changes size with her breathing rhythm, truly mysterious. I'd love to keep it as a sample for future research, but alas, pretty sure anyone with half an hour of medical study would say that it's chock full of impurities, though. Hold up a minute, how about we pop it? Snot bubbles exist to be popped, I say. Hey, you're right. Better than staring at it all day long, that's for sure. As a researcher, nay, as an investigator, I yearn for the fleeting rush of instantaneous destruction. All right, here I go, Pop. And so it did burst, drawing a short-lived halo before near instantly disappearing. Simultaneously with that, Pochi's body sprung right up to a sitting position, a feat courtesy of her marvelous abdominal muscles. Oh, crap, did that actually wake her? Master. You can't let Sir Giorno and Miss Lilia hog you all for themselves. Pay attention to me, too. Ha. Pochi's sleep talk ended soon enough, and abruptly enough, as she fell face up onto the bed once again, but wait, what did she say just now? Well good to see that Pochi is as funny as ever. Anyway, with that out of the way now, mind telling me about that source info now? The thing is I explained the entirety of last night's incident to Melchi. Melchi kept quiet and listened through it all, but her mind most likely wasn't as calm as her exterior suggested. It was just a possibility, albeit a high possibility, that Gaspard was being possessed by a demon. Of course, it would be difficult for her to keep her cool. Despite that, Melchi bit her nails, quite furiously, at that, in an attempt to suppress her emotional impulse. I had been unsure whether or not I should discuss all that information with her, but in the end I had decided to go through with it, running on the judgment that if it would cut deep either way, it would be best to do so as soon as possible. And so Melchi had taken the whole story in one go. I see. I was at a loss of what to say to Melchi as she stood up and looked out the window. It's almost too much to take, you know. Especially when it's that credible. And especially when I compare it with what I have. I just can't possibly disagree with it. Melchi said, shivering as she pulled her wizard hat down to obscure her eyes. Her voice sounded as if she had wrung out a boulder blocking her throat. I, having never gotten used to such occasions, found myself in yet another dilemma. Should I have not told her that? No, she would have known it sooner or later. Despite that, I would still consider this a failure on my part. I had never even imagined that Melchi's heart could be so fragile. To Pochi and I both, she had always been the stronger one, and even one of the strongest of all. However, when it came to Gaspard, her weakness surfaced in no time at all. My failure was that I had not known enough of Melchi's past. Although she was my senior apprentice, it didn't change the fact that she was a younger girl. Although she had never told me her age, I knew that she was, and if I were to make a girl cry, Pochi would never let me hear the end of it. So, as a man, I ought to do at least a thing or two to try and cheer her up. I had exercised my logical thoughts only up to this point, for the things I uttered from now flowed out of my mouth so naturally and spontaneously. Or rather, flew out. I swear I'll do something about Gaspard's devil. I don't care if it's by black magecraft or even a super ancient magecraft, I swear I'll get that devil out of him. So you stop crying, Mel. You're my senior. You have to set an example for all of us. Trust that I'll do something. You can't act uncool. I don't want to see you like that. Before I realized it, Melchi had lifted her wizard hat up and was now looking straight at me. Before I realized it, Pochi had awakened and was now staring blankly at me. That's the second time today. What in the blazes did I even think I was saying? My intracerebral scheduling program had raised logic after logic, possibility after possibility, all for the best answer. So how did things turn out like this? Both rendered speechless, Pochi and Melchi turned to look at each other, then burst out in laughter. It didn't take long at all for the room to be wrapped in a thunderous commotion. Now I'm hearing some giggling from Miss Silver Tiger in the next room over, too. I wanna die. I really, really wanna die. You can't, sir. If you die, who will be taking care of me? Take care of yourself. You know I won't let you, right, Ash? Else I'll act uncool again, yeah. Yeah, do it all you want. You can't die here, Asley. You've got to make money for the agency. Don't talk through the wall like that, damn it. While I covered my face with both hands, Melchi, seeming perfectly energetic now, pushed open the window and leaned her body out of it. Catching a peek of her through my fingers, I saw that she might be smiling, at least a little bit. And now, Ash, you get this juicy intel from me to aid your quest to slay the Devil King. What? Apparently, some old of the royal family was the one that set the prophecy monument within the royal castle. The thing hasn't been destroyed yet, probably because the government needs to keep its public appearance. Thanks. Nahahahaha. Well then. Ash, Pochi, Big Betty. I'll see y'all later. Whoosh. And so my senior left happier than when she had arrived, her thunderous roar of laughter resounding through the city for a short while before fading into the dark of the night. Did she do all that on purpose just to get a reaction out of me? Gah, this is why I can never understand women, damn it. As for my familiar, perhaps I should just leave her to suffocate, what with her seeming to enjoy herself so much now, holding her belly as she practically wheezed out her incessant laughter. And I'll help her when it looks like she's about to die. Then I'll have the last laugh. At any rate, Pochi's sleep talk sure was suspicious. Whatever sort of dream could she be seeing? How did Holy Warrior Giorno and Warrior Lilia even appear in her dream? And them interacting with me and her, no less. Chapter 108, It's all about the money, money, money. The sunlight sure is refreshing this morning. It's like it's telling us that the future will be bright. Isn't that right, Pochi? Trust that I'll do something, he said. Ahahaha. Come on, we ought to be ahead of the game and go hunt some monsters. That's what it means to be a free adventurer. Isn't that right, Betty? You can't act uncool, he said. Ha ha ha. Radical. On second thought, I'ma go home. Sorry. I might have had a bit too much fun there. Come on, cheer up. That's right, sir. I don't want to see my master like that. Ha 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 ha. Right, now I remember Melchi telling me of recent sightings of the heavenly beast Shi'shichou in the northwest. Let's go fight it and die. Maybe it'll eat me. Along with all my shame and humiliation. Boy, I haven't laughed that hard in a while. But that did change my opinion of you a bit, you know. What do you mean? I never thought you could man up and get real emotional like that, and stuff. Careful not to make Lena feel jealous, yeah. And why'd you even bring her up now? You realize that having multiple relationships going on at once is no easy task, yes, master. Yeah, your wallet's gotta be secure. And that also includes the funds for taking care of me, of course. Hey, you ought to take care of me, too. Or did you forget the terms of our contract? The familiar contract had already been voided, sure, but that didn't necessarily rid us of all our binding terms. I mean, I must have left in the absolute essential clauses of the contract, at least. Now that I thought about it, Pochi has been severely lacking in discipline lately. Was it because of the familiar contract's voiding or something else? Perhaps it was due to the gradual reduction of the contract's compulsory force. Maybe I should keep observing the effects from here on out. I pondered on, and by the time Pochi and Betty piped down, we reached our destination. Back at the Regalia Adventurers Guild, we had accepted just one monster hunting quest, with our objective being a group of Scyllas in an abandoned town to the royal capital's west. The Scylla was a monster archetype with a humanoid female form for its upper half, a long fish serpent-like form for its lower half, and several dog heads protruding from its abdomen. To quote Bruce, it was the pretty lady among monsters. Yeah, right. It was classified as rank A, but as they would appear in a group, the job had been bumped up to rank S. That's right, we finally were official S-ranked adventurers now. I'd never thought the paperwork would be processed and delivered in just 2.5 days. And so, with me deciding together with Betty to take this opportunity to challenge a high-difficulty quest, we have come here for our mark. The world sure is an unforgiving place. I had been reminded of that just a few hours ago. The rewards for B-ranked monster hunts we usually took were in the 5,000 to 8,000 gold range, with the upper bound being 10,000 gold. A-ranked quests, on the other hand, paid anything between 10,000 to 20,000 gold. Jobs that paid 30,000 gold would turn up quite rarely, but their relative difficulty usually made them not worth the reward. And now, this rank S job. I don't know if this is because it's hosted in the royal capital, but by fulfilling the objective of slaying 10 of these Scyllas, one would receive the handsome reward of 65,000 gold. It is quite a dangerous undertaking, of course, but with me, Betty, and Pochi working together, I'd say it'll be a piece of cake. And even if we split the reward evenly, each of us would still end with 20,000 gold. If we could get work like this on a consistent basis, we would have a much easier time running the Asley agency, and that in turn would open up opportunities for everyone to go out and better paying work elsewhere. The issue lies in the fact that there just aren't that many S-ranked quests to go around, and if any of us were to take on one by ourselves, we would have to tread most carefully. Apparently, this kind of work would turn up a few times a month in Regalia. If we could take them all, then the Silver Trio and I could take turns fulfilling them, which should generate income efficiently enough. Hee. It's all about the money, money, money. That's what makes the world dance. Phew. That makes 10 of them, so our job's complete now, but looks like there are still a few left. How about it? Want to go a bit further in? Let's see. I say we shouldn't, since we're not all that familiar with the land around here. Let's just go back. Right, I remember there being another S-ranked job, so let's see if we can take that. Suddenly, Pochi's nose twitched. Her ears stood straight up, too. Hearing something, Pochi? No sound, but I smell something suspicious. Before Betty and I could express our doubts, Pochi dashed toward where she had been looking at, deeper into the abandoned town. Betty and I stood dumbfounded, then promptly gave chase a few beats after, chasing the tail of the gourmand dog. Oh. Is it just me, or is her tail wagging? Is that her way of signaling that there's no danger? We ran on for a minute more before reaching the town's west exit. Pochi stopped at a certain collapsed statue in the area. Yup, her tail is definitely wagging. I can tell that there's something here, but what is it? So, something wrong with that statue? The statue had long lost its original form, with me only barely being able to tell that it had originally been in a humanoid shape. Strange, isn't it? I'm feeling a historic dissonance between this statue's deterioration and the abandoned town. No matter how I identified it, this was more than 1,000 years' worth of deterioration. Perhaps it had been damaged on multiple occasions over the long years rather than being left alone. But if so, how did the place even end up abandoned? The royal capital of Regalia was so close by, and this town's location could very well make it a western key location, just as Radiata was one in the southeast. Or had it fallen precisely because it was located at an important point? I can't quite put my finger on it. I might have smelled this from somewhere else before, but I can't remember. A smell you think you recognize? That's why you came all the way here. Pochi approached the bronze statue and stiffed it a few more times, and then shook her head. The town itself seemed to have been abandoned for around 100 years, so its time must precede the war demon calendar. Betty, you know anything about this town? The town's called Kug. Apparently, it faced a huge wave of monster attacks a long time ago. Used to be as prosperous as Radiata, too. Long story short, the people gave up on rebuilding it around the transition to the war demon calendar. I see, we watched over Pochi for a while, but she wasn't able to come up with anything. In the end, we had to drag her along, in spite of her frustrated protests, into a teleportation spell circle, which transported us back to the spell circle we had hidden in the woods near the royal capital. I had already altered the formula's access code, so there technically wasn't a need to hide it, but being seen while going in and out of it would cause us problems nonetheless. And so we headed to the Adventurers Guild once again, this time accepting the request to slay a monster called Wilhelm. The Wilhelm was an old, wingless monster of the dragon archetype. Its kin was rarely seen due to them usually living under the clay-like earth of particularly damp or swampy regions. However, they had been presumably provoked by the Shi'shichou at the northwestern Regalia ravine lately, causing them to make more frequent appearances to people passing by, which usually resulted in the people being attacked and getting their property damaged or destroyed. Word has it that just one of them possessed enough power to be considered an S-ranked difficulty hunt target. That was why we had opted for the Scylla hunt the first time around. We wanted a wider margin of safety for our job. This Wilhelm hunt would get us a whopping 80,000 gold if successful. Combined with what he had already received today, we could keep the Pochesley agency running for a whole another month. He. It's all about the money, money, money. That's what makes the world dance. But then, when we exited the Adventurers Guild, we were met with an individual I hadn't quite expected to see. Betty, not recognizing him, asked, "Who's that?" "Ooh, got yourself a lady already? Really feeling that rank S charisma boost, huh, Asley?" "Oh, my. He just called me a lady. Did you hear that, master?" He was referring to Betty, damn it. I know it's not that rare for someone like him to show up at the Adventurers Guild, but, what is he even here for? "Betty, this is Sir Baron, one of the 6 Braves." "Sir Baron, this is Betty, a friend of mine who has been promoted to rank S the same day as I was. And I'd prefer that you don't talk in ways that can cause misunderstandings." "Heh, you're the Betty. The one who landed a good cut on Sir Gaston. You're amazing. Ha 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 ha." That compliment was so monotonous that I could hardly consider it a compliment at all. And Betty seemed to have realized that, too. "Heh, so you're Baron of the 6 Braves? The one who lost to some familiar called Pochi despite having a familiar back him up himself?" "Yeah, nice meeting you." Ha 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 ha. Oh. Did I just hear the air crackle just now? I was just out of shape. Yeah. Yup, he's definitely angry. Intensely so. "What now, Betty?" Contrary to my expectations, Betty wiped the expression of mockery off her face, instantly turning the conversation into a serious direction. "Huh, what's going on? You're a warrior, so you ought to keep your body in perfect fit at all times. If you die like that, there won't be anything left but dishonor to your name." Baron was, actually entranced by Betty's soulful advice. "Huh, I guess that works, too." Although he had been in it to win, making up excuses for his loss wouldn't do him any good. Since Betty was the older person here, I suppose that wisdom comes with experience. While Baron shivered, Betty proceeded to pat him on his shoulders. Under different circumstances, the way she hit him like that could have triggered a chain of explosions in the social hierarchy, couldn't it? At any rate, Betty's handling of the situation here really surprised me. With her opinion on Baran changed, she proceeded to speak to him, her words devoid of mischief and spite. Anyway, what are you here for? Have some free time or something? Well, yeah. I've suddenly been put off duty today, so, Baran said, trying his best to suppress the malice in his voice. Hey, wait a second, don't tell me. All right. How about you come with us? We'll be out hunting a Wilhelm, and then go see if we can find the Shi'shichou. What? First time I've heard of us ever planning to do that second thing, but sure, I'll roll along with it. Wait, what? Chapter 109, The Duodecad. All right. Get it in position and stun it, Baran. Haha, ugh. You're such a slave driver, you know that, Asley. I'm not a hard hitter, for God's sake. Then just taunt it or something. I'll cover you. So here we are, fighting against the Wilhelm, a gigantic serpentine-formed dragon. The things we needed to watch out for were its tail attacks, the toxic purgatory breath, and most important of all, the occasional acid spray from the upper side surface of its body. The last one in particular made it quite dangerous for us to attack its sides. Boss, breath attack incoming. Pochi. Cover me. You're such a slave driver, you know that, monkey. Gayer. Of course, Pochi could still get some solid damage in its flanks with her zenith breath from a safe distance. But despite its exploitable weaknesses, its strength was definitely fit for the S rank. Pochi's attack this time also managed to interrupt the monster's purgatory breath. I can't let this chance pass me by. Deca spell, invoke. 1. Cross wind. 2. Cross wind. 3. Cross wind. 4. Cross wind. 5. Cross wind. 6. Cross wind. 7. Cross wind. 8. Cross wind. 9. Cross wind. 10. Cross wind. Although the cross wind was normally an intermediate level spell, its formula had been modified to make it as strong as an advanced spell. Utilizing the openings the Wilhelm showed upon being staggered by Pochi's breath attack, I aimed my spells at the monster's sides, sending concentrated blades of wind to tear its flesh to shreds. Alright, it worked. I knew the Deca spell would be easier to pull off with a party backing me up. My god, what's with that crazy magic spell? This is the first time I've ever seen that, too. I swear, you're always full of fun surprises, Asley. Although the dragon was suffering severe cuts, the life force of its kind was still exceptionally high. It was still alive, albeit with its offensive power now cut in half. The Wilhelm's severed tail end was still wiggling in the mud, and its front half did not show even a sign of willingness to back down. But we've gotten it this far now, the rest is only a matter of time. Guys, watch out for attacks from both of its parts. We're going in for an all-out attack. Oh, yeah. Ricky, gigantify. Yes, sir. Master, gigantify. I would if I could. Fine. I'll do it myself. Pochi and Ricky, in their gigantified forms, charged headfirst at the Wilhelm. Pochi dug her fangs into its neck, while Ricky held its upper and lower jaws and pulled them apart. Now that's gotta hurt. At the same time, Baran and Betty each dealt a heavy blow on either side of its head. 7th lunge. High-frequency blade. Those two blows were landed quite brutally onto the monster's eyes. Gaia. Ricky, taking the dragon's sky-quaking scream as the opportunity to exert one last burst of strength, completely ripped its mouth open. Wiki, wet whack. Pochi, after telling that to Ricky, unleashed another zenith breath while her mouth was still around the Wilhelm's neck. The Wilhelm, getting a breath attack blown in through the holes in its neck, gradually lost its strength and ceased its struggling. All right. Here comes a big spell. Get away, guys. Gatling lightning. Countless lightning bolts lashed forth around the spell circle, rushing straight at the Wilhelm. They passed cleanly through the monster's body, streaking through and fading into the ravine behind it. Its body, already barely moving in the first place, finally was completely immobile, save for its toppling down, signifying the definite end of its life. So when the part with its head dies, its severed lower part dies with it as well. Oh, I knew having strength in numbers would make things this much easier, sir. Boss, I must say that you have done your part as the decoy quite splendidly. And now there's the sweet 78 grand waiting for us back in town. Say, Baron, you sure you don't want your cut? I'm sure. I wasn't in this for gold in the first place, anyway. I mean, we're still doing the thing, right? The Regalia ravine is right there. Baron had never been interested in the Wilhelm hunt in the first place, and was rather fixated on investigating the heavenly beast. As pushy as Betty's invitation had been, even one of the 6 braves such as him couldn't resist the driving force of human curiosity. The heavenly beasts were the unknown. With them having been represented in so many fairy tales and folklore, just about anyone would surely feel the desire to encounter the real thing. And so I nodded to myself, and then, remembering one thing, preemptively stopped everyone as they began to walk away. Oh yeah, almost forgot. I gotta loot the Wilhelm's eyeballs and fangs. Is there anything they can be crafted into, though? Its fangs are super tough and all, but I thought they were considered too small for equipment manufacturing. They're quite useful for alchemy, you know. Oh, now that you brought it up. I completely forgot that you were an alchemist, master. Seriously? Was that part of me that forgettable? I hadn't been using it for anything much these past few years, but I have been stocking up on the essential materials and components. I've got something planned with it for the 4th month of this year, so I would like to encounter and loot the materials of some specific monsters before then, if possible. After reaching the Regalia ravine in the afternoon, we proceeded to trek through the narrow, rough path. It did help that none of us was particularly fussy about the quality of the road, though. Sensing no monster presence whatsoever along the way, we ended up talking among ourselves to pass the time. Many of the topics among us involved Betty asking Baron things she was curious about, and Baron reluctantly answered as much as he could. She had acted fairly humble when she interacted with Irene and Gaston, but was now quite casual toward Baron, despite all 3 belonging to the Duodecad conference. Did she find him more approachable because of him being the younger one, or something of the sort? So, who would you say is the strongest one of the 6 braves right now? I'm curious about that, too. Good God, you have become more lacking in tact since I last met you, dog. Ricky, riding on Baron's shoulder, spoke in a condescending tone toward Pochi. In response, Pochi looked up to briefly glare at Ricky. I'm curious about that, too. And then decided to ignore the monkey's statement completely, repeating her statement as if to rewind the scene to where she once was. Then, after a playful snicker at Ricky's frustration, Baron proceeded to answer Betty's question. So, among our members are Sir Charlie the Thousand Morphing Blade, Sir Dragon the Dainty Tiger, Miss Catherine the Benevolent Petal, Sir Jacob the Demon Blader, Miss Natasha the Unholy War Princess, then there's me, Baron the Scale Tipper. Well, let's just leave me out of this ranking for now. Oh, I see. Right. I do remember seeing the Scale Tipper as one of Baron's titles. It probably was derived from his style not adhering to the definitions of warriors nor mages. It just didn't sound right for him to call himself by his nickname, but at least he was being humble about it. That, or the rest of the 6 braves were actually significantly stronger by his standards. But still, it sure feels crazy that I'm already acquainted with 4 of those awesome-sounding people. That number excluded Charlie the Thousand Morphing Blade, since I had only caught sight of him from a distance, of course. Warren had told me that Charlie had been quite interested in me, but that was a story from 2 years ago, so he's probably forgotten about me by now. Sir Jacob and Miss Natasha did go at it fairly recently and came out with a draw, so I'd say they're equally strong. But Sir Jacob did lose to Sir Dragon in a sparring match some time ago, and then there's the time Sir Dragon lost to Miss Catherine when he first entered the ranks of the Six Braves. I can understand his roundabout explanation, since he was probably listing his thoughts out as he went along, but can Pochi follow this ranking? Well, all things considered, it should be straightforward enough. I mean, Baron even listed that person's name out first. From how you're talking, the strongest is still Sir Charlie, after all. Is it just me, or was Betty talking like she'd met Charlie before? Oh. Well, since he lives and works full-time in Beilanea, I did get to see him fight a few times. Betty followed up on her own statement, making it seem like she had read my thoughts just now. Then she proceeded to elaborate on her point as if she had experienced it herself. I swear, he's an absolute beast. You know how different people prefer different kinds of weapons. Like those who prefer the raw power of great swords, the nimbleness of short swords, the precision of daggers, so on and so forth. But Sir Charlie lives up to his nickname of Thousand Morphing Blade. He's mastered the wielding of all bladed weapons. My stupid brother even said that he'd be a great match for OL Argent Man, and I'm actually inclined to agree. And Betty even effortlessly imitated Bruce's manner of speaking right there, goes to show how close they are as siblings. Yeah, it's like she said. Sir Charlie is the strongest among the Six Braves, and at the very least the second among the Duodecad Conference. Try not to be vaporized when you get too close to him. Ooh. I'd actually like to see him vaporize stuff. He didn't mean it literally, you dunce. Anyway, back to Baron. Well, I'd say Sir Gaston of the Six Archmages is equally beastly strong, though. I can agree with that. He's so hyperactive that I wouldn't think he was over 80 years old. Betty had actually fought Gaston before, so if she's saying that, then it must be right. That, and Charlie did slay Ballad's parent dragon, or, so he himself had claimed. Considering that, it would be reasonable to assume that Baron was quite underpowered as far as the Six Braves went. I was particularly curious as to who Natasha the Unholy War Princess was. Presumably a woman, as princess would usually imply, and perhaps one of aristocratic origin. I'll remember to ask Blazer for some details later. And now that I think about it, out of the Six Archmages, I've only ever met Gaston and Irene. The rest of them are, let's see. I scratched my chin as I tried to recall. But then, when Pochi tried to join in on the conversation, I felt an extremely powerful presence in the vicinity. What? It took me a second to realize that it was a great mass of hostile arcane energy exuding extreme killing intent. Pochi, even with her power level to go toe-to-toe against SS-ranked monsters, was now shaking like crazy. At this time, Ricky had already gigantified, Baron already had his blade ready, and Betty was already activating all her special skills. What's this? I'm feeling an overwhelmingly oppressive aura, it reeks of impending doom and death. That's the heavenly beast. I'm not seeing anything from here, but I'm really feeling it. All of us kept ourselves on high alert as we looked deeper into the ravine. Nothing in the span of 200 meters ahead. Yet. Guys, maybe we should turn back, I started to say, but that moment, an intense gust of wind blew me down onto the ground. Gah. Kai-ah. I think I'm hearing my bones breaking. The sense of confusion preceded the pain, and then the following pain further worsened that confusion. Everyone else was still standing up. However, the wind pressure, streaming down at us from directly above like a hammer, pinned them to the ground and disabled the movement of all their limbs. Several seconds later, everyone just up and lost their consciousness. This is bad. We're gonna be wiped out. I need to stand up. And get my staff, and cast a recovery spell. Move, damn it. Come on. I had gone through that crazy, limb-breaking movement training under Tus. I should have been able to do this. But my limbs aside, my spine was now a mess, and so were most of my muscles, and some of my internal organs were hit, too. Hurry. I gotta hurry. Move, 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 move. Get up. Heal. Help everyone. Run. Just run. And live. Damn it, Asley. Stand up, you fool. When I thought that, my body suddenly released all the arcane energy it could possibly handle, all at once. Then, when I felt that I could actually move, I shouted with all my might at the Torrent Dragon's staff, "High Cure Adjust." Hell yeah. But even though the magic healed up everyone's wounds, it's not waking them up. Damn it. I forced my trembling, barely functioning legs toward the person closest to me, who happened to be Betty, so that I might haul her over my shoulder and bail her out. NGH-. I felt as if my heart, as in the organ itself, was being squeezed. I heard breathing from behind me. But there was no one there. I'm a mage, the formation's rear guard. There should be no one there. As for my feet, although they were supposed to guide me toward Betty, an overwhelming stream of murderous intent swept over them, forcing me to turn around. Chapter 110, Shi'shichou, the Sacred Beast of Legends. Ah! That was all the voice I could wring out of my cords in the face of despair spreading before me. The darkness of its uncannily deep black eyes stared right through my body, as if it was looking past a piece of trash. Its rounded body, extending down from its thin and long neck, had an alternating line pattern shimmering in black and dark purple. The wings connected to the sides of its torso had a reddish tinge, creating an offbeat mass of blackness in the middle, which my brain somehow registered to be beautiful. The creature wasn't even particularly large. Rather, it was human-sized, and actually had just about the same height as mine. This is it. A heavenly beast. A sacred legend among the creatures of this world. Gah! Again. What the hell? That thing only took a breath. Why does it even hurt? Moreover, it's hurting even more than before. This time, the damned purple phoenix of death actually changed its expression ever so slightly. What now? It's like I'm seeing some sense of surprise in those reproaching eyes. You are most unusual, human. It just talked. So the rumors were true that these beasts can understand human speech. It is quite unheard of for one to withstand my arcane drain twice. Arcane drain. Dash. That's it. So it was absorbing arcane energy with its breath. That's why I'm feeling the same exhaustion that comes with excessively rapid consumption of arcane energy. Despite knowing that, I was shocked nonetheless by the truth I saw upon the invocation of my appraisal glasses. Just one breath shaved off a whopping 8,000 MP. Seriously? That thing only needs to breathe 4 more times, and I'm dead meat. I proceeded to use the appraisal glasses on the bird, albeit fully expecting it to not work. Or rather, I had no idea what move to make other than that. LV, 240 titles, Violet Phoenix, Legend, SS Slayer, The Transcendent. HP. MP. EXP. Special skills, yeah, no way in hell we're winning against that. It's not even a matter of losing morale. It is scary, though. But I never had any intention to fight it in the first place. The rumors had been right so far, but apparently not the part where it didn't hurt humans unless provoked. It's practically showering me with its murderous intent here, that's for sure. I could tell that it had no care for humans whatsoever. That was probably why it had been rumored to not attack humans. Not unless they entered its territory, at least. Yeah, that's probably the thing about it. I have one question. A question? Whatever could that possibly be? Wait, no. I've got to calm down. It'll be all over if I mess this up. That's one thing I'm sure of. I've got to calm down, and then give an answer as accurate and as satisfying to it as possible. What is it? My voice was hoarse, muted, and shaky as all hell. So much so that I couldn't even hear myself without having to strain my ears. This was no mere rank SS monster. The sheer pressure it exuded was the very proof that it had lived since the previous era of the Devil King. Why have you attacked me? You seem to yet lack the foolishness to contemplate doing so, do you not? Those unexpected words further worsened my trembling. What did you mean, attack? Really, what nonsense is this bird spewing? We were here only to catch a glimpse of the Shi'shichou. Right? I mean, we'd be dead meat if we showed even a sliver of hostility. That was why we had been proceeding on our way so casually. Pochi, Betty, Baron, and Ricky also knew that full well. We had done that deliberately as we went. That was no oversight, but an affirmation of non-hostility. From the way you speak, the Shi'shichou continued, I shall assume that you have a death wish. Ah! Stop right there. We really had no such intention. Yes, we did enter your territory, but only so that we may get a look at you, a rare sight of a legend. We mean no harm, I assure you. I tried to explain it the best I could. Or rather, I tried making excuses for myself despite not knowing the reason why I even needed to. At any rate, I simply knew that I must stress that we weren't hostile. I'm not sure what sort of opinion the Shi'shichou had on that, but it turned its body away, and then turned only its head back around. Then what is this? The Shi'shichou briefly glanced at its own buttocks before glaring at me again. There, I could see a faint, and by that, extremely faint, scorch mark. A scorch mark. Did we do that? Nope. No way in hell. There was no way we would even consider doing something that dangerous. I understand that you may not remember. But there is no doubt in my mind that it came from you, or to be precise, the direction your group approached from. That made me realize what was up. It happened just a little while ago. We had been fighting a Wilhelm, an S-ranked monster. I had unleashed the Gatling Lightning, a large magic spell, in order to finish it off. Of course, its target had been the Wilhelm. However, due to its sheer power, the spell had pierced through the Wilhelm's body, and then streaked through the air into the distance. As for the direction it had gone in, well. Countless lightning bolts lashed forth around the spell circle, rushing straight at the Wilhelm. They passed cleanly through the monster's body, streaking through and fading into the ravine behind it. Fading into the ravine behind it. Yeah. So could it be that? I took another look. A scorch mark, its size proportional to the attack power diminished by distance, looks like I hit the nail on the head. Aha! I sounded quite hysterical there, if I say so myself. And in response to that, the Shi'shichou's eyes flared up once again with intense murderous intent. Perhaps even more intense than before, even. Now I see that you do remember. I shall grant you a painless death. Any preferences? Ah. I swear I didn't mean any harm. We were fighting a monster called the Wilhelm, and that was a powerful spell I used for finishing it off, you see. And it pierced through the Wilhelm into this direction. I never intended to aim at you specifically. Would you be so willing to state the same if the victim was one of your own kind? I was at a loss of words. An excuse, at the end of the day, would stay an excuse. I would never be able to say the same if I were to misfire my magic spell and hit another person. I had been careless with my conversation with the Shi'shichou. The meaning of the word conversation suggested that two parties were of equal intellectual capacity. Which was to say, I had considered the Shi'shichou a mere beast, albeit still an immensely powerful one. Throughout my bid to survive, I really messed up big time. Oh ho, you are laying down your weapon. Commendable. Any last words? Whelp. Looks like this is as far as I go. Let's just tell him what I ought to, at the very least, several years from now, the Devil King Wah. The last parts of my last words were drowned out by the yawning of my foolish familiar. I'd intended to at least inform a heavenly beast of the coming Devil King's resurrection, but this she just had to interrupt me at the most important part. Seriously, what's wrong with her? Don't tell me. Pochi is the Devil King and has actively been trying to jeopardize our operations? Ha, now we're never gonna win. Not messing around, the Shi'shichou stared coldly at Pochi while the doggo rubbed her eyes. Ah, good morning, master. Why am I back here? Pochi, perhaps still half asleep, still has not noticed the piercing gaze directed at us. That piercing gaze. I can feel it slowly ease down. You. No, who are you people? The look of surprise in its eyes felt stronger than before. But what in the world could it be surprised about? While Pochi was busy scratching her neck with her hind leg, the Shi'shichou proceeded to spread its wings wide in front of me. Its murderous intent has already gone, and it now looked quite calm as it stared at me. What's up with this sudden 180? First, you, what is your name? Ah. Asley. Upon me telling so, the Shi'shichou kept silent as it stared at me for a while longer. And Pochi proceeded to scratch her own neck again. I see. Remember to do me a favor later, and I shall let you off the hook, Asley. Oh, K. I tilted my head, questioning whatever that could mean. However, the Shi'shichou answered nothing as it instantly disappeared from my sight, leaving behind a strong gust of wind. Pochi, surprised by the wind, made a goofy face as she turned to me, or rather the spot where I had been before that wind had blown me a bit away. Whoa dash. Wah, what's the deal with that wind, sir? Well, it's probably just normal wind, nothing special. Staring at the new empty sky, I could only give a half-hearted reply, with Pochi giving a look of utter confusion in response to that. And then she realized that Betty, Baran, and Ricky were still on the ground. Making a big deal out of it, she proceeded to whack the back of my head as I was still stuck in a trance. What are you spacing out for, sir? I sure would like to say that right back at her. But when all was said and done, we hauled up everyone and headed back to Regalia. Chapter 111, Back to Beilanea. Pochi gigantified and carried Ricky, who was stuck in his gigantified form himself, while I put my staff away in the storeroom in order to carry both Baran and Betty at once. Since we had headed out with Baran, one of the 6 braves, I hadn't been able to sneakily set up a teleportation spell circle near Regalia like I usually would. By the time the sun inclined to the west, at the point where we could see Regalia in the distance, the 3 finally woke up. Baran instantly jumped off me out of embarrassment, while Betty instantly slapped my butt. That hurt. Ricky seemed to be doing fine, too. There was an old horoscopic belief that went along the lines of dog women and monkey men get along well, but like his boss, Ricky instantly jumped off Pochi. And so the Shi'shichou appeared in front of me, and then soon left without a trace. When I was done talking, Betty groaned at my explanation of what had happened. Humph, I wanted to get a long look at it too, you know. I mean, it's a legend and everything, haven't you had enough of that? I wish to never see it again, personally. I was quite curious at first, but after all that, I'd say nothing good can come from being involved with those heavenly beasts. Baran, appalled at Betty's attitude, spoke in opposition to her. Ahahaha, that bad, huh? What about you, Asley? Since you got to actually interact with it, what's your opinion on it? Same as yours, more or less. That, and I realized I must get stronger. Much stronger. In response to my statement of intention, Baran turned away from Betty to me. Yeah, no, that's something humans can never achieve. I mean, our levels don't go over 100, right? It'd be wise for us humans to know our limits, I say. And that's what the boy says. So. Ha ha ha, you never know until you try. No, I definitely do. You'd be the fool among fools to actively risk your life over things like this. Anyway, we're done here, right? I'll just excuse myself now. Come on, Ricky. Yes, boss. Ricky hopped onto Baran's shoulder. We'll see you later. Was it just me, or did his parting words have a reluctant feel to them? Baran of the Six Braves. I'm sure he's got a lot of things going on with his life, too. With Baran running off into the distance, the rest of us also picked up our pace. Betty kept an eye on him as he faded out of sight and proceeded to say, if we don't get that strong, then, we'll never survive what we'll eventually have coming at us, huh? The meaning behind her words was plain and simple. Monsters all over the world will be getting a power boost come the resurrection of the Devil King. That had happened before, and the Shi'shichou had lived through it. No matter how I thought about it, the wall me must cross this time was just too high. I wonder what Betty's take on this is. Well, we've got a big long-term goal to strive for now. Betty, ever the wide-eyed optimist, winked to assert that optimism of hers. She didn't seem to be putting up a tough act, but it did feel like she was being somewhat non-committal with her declaration. With her spending a good chunk of her time in battle, she had naturally become quite sensitive to such an obvious difference in power. Betty didn't seem to have gotten better even when we were back in the city, either. We first headed to the guild to collect our reward, then straight back to the inn, at which she immediately said she needed some rest and retreated to her room. Seeing her off, Pochi and I then also went into our room. Once I rested my head on the Pochi pillow, Pochi spoke up, seeming quite worried for Betty. Betty must have taken quite a blow to her ego, sir. Of course she has. That thing is just way too powerful, you know. It's too far of a goal, long-term or not. Even one of the Six Braves, the supposed best warriors of the nation, ended up like that. I know there's a big difference in Baran and Charlie's skills, but, in front of that Violet Phoenix, they might as well be nothing. I would have freaked out real hard if I hadn't gotten to know and train under Tous, honestly. But do you think Tous can win against it, sir? I can't really measure his power by my standards, you see. You could say that it's the same case for the Shi'shichou, but I think he can pull something off, at the very least. Goes to say how strong he is, sir. What about you, master? Do you think you can win? Hell no. You're that sure? With how I am now, of course I'm sure. After seeing its level, I knew that I'm gonna need the limit breakthrough more than ever. I mean, it's level 240, you know. 240. More than twice the cap. I see. I can't remember if I asked, but did you ever find that thing? The Philosopher's Stone, was it? I don't know if it's the actual thing, but I found a crystal encasing a holy warrior's body. It didn't seem to fit the description I'd gotten from Tous, though. Maybe what he meant was different from what I'd inferred from him. The crystal's in my storeroom now, and I'm saving it for when it might be important, so I've got to take good care of it. Anyway, what about you, Pochi? What do you think about what little you've seen? You're quite a lot serious than you usually are, sir. Hey, I've got to get things done, too. If you say so. I'm leaving all the planning to you, master. So just let me play along whatever you come up with, all right? Welp, looks like we're all gonna die. Ahahaha. I only know how to go straight ahead, sir. I'll leave the creepy wiggly juking to you, master. Pochi said all that so nonchalantly. As roundabout as that was, she was probably telling me that, it's all up to me. Looks like I'll actually have to give it my best from here on out. Pochi seemed to be quite exhausted by all that had happened today, so almost immediately as the conversation ended, she started snoring. Phew. The Shi'shichou, one of the heavenly beasts, huh? It sure was an outrageous creature. It was as if we had been shown the sheer difference of us and it as life forms, but then there was Tus, technically one of us, also standing on that seemingly unreachable peak. Nothing's going to change for me from this point on. I'll keep studying, and even more studying. Now then, there's a lot of things to get done in the span of 1 month from now. Pochi and I will have to obtain as many titles as possible during this time. I'll also have to use my alchemy skills and craft artifacts to prepare for even stronger monsters. And I mustn't forget to invent new spells and improve the ones I already have. For this in particular reason, I'll probably need some help from that person. At the end of the day, what we need to achieve is the ability to hunt down high-leveled monsters. For everyone's sake, I'll try to earn as much money as possible, and also study up as much as I can on monsters' trends and nature. Now I'm getting sleepy, too. Wonder what job we'll be taking tomorrow. The next day, Betty was back to her usual self, as if she had swallowed everything down with just a single night's sleep. Then, at the Adventurers Guild, we surprised the guild staff with the astounding amount of work we completed, 3 rank S, albeit minor ones, and also 7 A rankers, and 2 B rankers. To be honest, I felt like I was being dragged along by Betty almost the entire time. It seemed that she was more energetic today than she had ever been before. We'd made quite a lot of money today, even after deducting in rent and other expenses. To be specific, it was a whopping 1,017,780 gold. Everyone's in for a treat when we get back to the agency. Once we had taken down our last requested monster of the day, Betty, Pochi, and I had all agreed to return to Beilanea immediately. Before then, I used the telepathic call magecraft to inform Gaston of our leave, and also initiated my first call with Fuyu. It seemed that Fuyu had already tested the telepathic call with Gaston beforehand, so she wasn't so spooked when I had called, but was still surprised by the fact that I could use magecraft. I had also given her the teleportation formula that linked to the circle in my room, so that she could come over to the Asley agency whenever she had the free time to. I was quite surprised by how ecstatic Fuyu had sounded, but it was all good as long as she appreciated it. 6 o'clock in the afternoon, first day of the 4th month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar in the woods southeast to Regalia, I invoked the time limit termination formula onto the teleportation spell circle, then activated the latter. In an instant, we were transferred to my room back in Beilanea. However, we were welcomed by quite a bizarre situation that just happened to take place at the perfect timing of our arrival. I will never live this down. I will never live this down, you hear me? What I heard coming from the other side of the door was a throaty, fussy voice of a dog. And there was also a girl, in a gray hooded robe, sleeping on my bed. Pochi and Betty, being transferred a few moments after I had been, looked to see what was up, the former at my side, and the latter over my shoulder. And then, Master. Asley. What have you done? The town security is going to be out for your neck again, sir. She's a bit too young, don't you think? I never knew you were into this kind of thing. Man, hell no, I'm not. Anyone with half a brain would know that I don't know anything about this. I swear, all these joking false accusations I get are starting to become unfunny. So, this girl. She looks to be about the same age as Natsu and Fuyu. Why was she sleeping here, of all places? Could she be a kid the Asley agency had helped out while I was away? Geez, gimme a break. Wait, this kid. I think might have seen her before. What a coincidence, sir. That's what I thought, too. Oh, yeah. I don't think I remember her from anywhere, though. If Betty doesn't know her, then, when and where did we meet, again? I think I might have an idea. Come on, it's on the tip on my tongue here, why is this door not opening? I will never live this down. I will never live this down, you hear me? Aha. All I have to do is spin the doorknob. Heh 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 heh. Perfect logic, Taro. Humph. Ho dash. Damn this little dash. Can't reach. Hey, open the door. Open the door, TFA. Ah. Ah dash. Wait, what? Chapter 112, Oh, God, save me, 29 past 2 in the afternoon, 30th day of the 3rd month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar. I am Taro. My master is Tifa. This place is the Magic University, a facility for humans to teach magic to one another. Tifa and I live in this university, in a part of it called the women's dormitory. This makes me wonder why humans feel such a need to keep males and females apart from each other. Have they forgotten the omnivorous creature's instinctive desire to sow the seeds for the next generation? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. However, there is one thing that I have come to wonder recently. Could it be that humans possess a significantly different capacity for emotion from us animals and monsters? That is what this one girl told me as she proceeded to indulge herself with scratching my chin. In response, I licked her hand, carried away by how good the first stroke felt. Hiya, ahaha, that tickles. Now, Henry, it is about time you switched with me. Boo. Just a little bit longer, yeah. Come on, Clarice. Pretty please. My, you are always such a handful, humph. You do realize that my chin will not be going anywhere regardless of how much you want to keep it to yourself, yes? Ho 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 ho. Good, very good. That hit the spot. Say, have you heard? Asley just left for the Rank S evaluation test some days ago. Goodness, how can you be so forgetful? You have already brought that up at least 3 times. Huh? Really? I might have not paid enough attention there, Henry. If I'd known that you liked him that much, I would have given you my full support a long time ago, dash. No, no. That's not what that is, then what is that you speak of? Asley. I've been hearing that quite often ever since we moved to live in the Magic University. Apparently, the name refers to a man. I wonder what he's like. He has been talked about by a good number of notable characters. The young woman called Lena, the young man called Hornell, the woman called Idea, the man called Mitters. Even that one professor called Trace. Perhaps he's a celebrity among humans? If so, then it's a surprise that I've never heard of him previously. The way all of them spoke suggested an overwhelmingly favorable opinion on the individual in question. Well, not quite. The one called Hornell did have a slightly different reaction to that name. Not what I would consider a hostility, but definitely some sort of opposition. If only that boy possessed my wisdom, he could have easily done away with any issues he might have. Heh heh heh, yes, the day I dominate this world draws near. So very near. Heh heh heh. Zemo, could that be that this doggo is in reality a devil king in his fetus state? Smiley face. From what I'm hearing, this Clarice girl also seems to have a considerably favorable opinion about the Asley person. It is quite clever of her, a human brand of clever, at that, to hide that fact from her friend Henry while instead prodding the latter to expose the true nature of her feelings. Hoo, whatever are you blushing for? So you see, back when I first entered school, I thought Asley was kind of a man-child, but after seeing him fight against Lena and then hearing that story from Miss Irene, my opinion of him just changed. Like, I came to respect him, in a way. Or something like that. Heh heh heh, now that is an adorable, innocent smile you ought to have. Not bad, girl. Not bad at all. Well then, why don't we drop by the Pochesley agency and catch up on things with him at a later date? What? Let's not. It's gonna turn awkward real fast, I say. A sense of shame, yes, that's it. Judging from how shaken she is, that must be its true nature. Perhaps this shade of emotion is one of the factors that prompted the humans to separate their males from females. If you are not going, then I will go by myself, all right? Ah dash. No fair, Clarice. Wait, don't tell me you're. Who knows? It is better left to your imagination, is it not? Oh ho, turns out she isn't hiding her feelings at all, is she? I see, there is a give-and-take dynamic between friends, and the degree of that give-and-take determines whether or not they are true friends. This could be what lies higher than creatures' mere cleverness, intelligence. One who is able to reach such a conclusion is the one who deserves to reign supreme. I say, speaking of which, since these two started talking about that Asley, they completely separated their hands from my chin. I will never live this down. I will never live this down, you hear me? Just you wait. Asley. 8 o'clock in the afternoon, 31st day of the 3rd month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar. Tifa, don't you think you're walking too fast? Did you not put my pace into consideration at all? I did say that you could just wait back there, you know, but then I would feel lonely. I mean, I can't possibly let that be. When I heard that you were going to break the rules and slip out of your lodging, I knew that I was obligated to follow you. As a familiar, I must put your safety above all else. Yeah. So. What monster mock will we rip and tear tonight? This is exciting. My blood is boiling. Just do what you want. Oh, so you're having me make the choice. Very well. Wait, what? I've got somewhere to be in this town. That's why I said you didn't have to come along. Did you miss that part or something? No, I cannot afford to do that. Sit. Humph. How's this? All right, now just stay put. I'll be back here, let's see, around 9 in the morning. Aw dash. W8. There's that to consider. What's that? This girl, does she have a history of murdering her own kind? I mean, just look at that terrifying glare she's making. My lungs are so pressured that I'm already having breathing difficulties. I mean, you're a small girl, Tifa. And Beilanea is a town full of adventurers with robust bodies, you see. So NGH-. Why are you strangling me? Did you just call me small? This girl, how many hundreds of her kind has she killed? Those are the eyes of a destroyer. Oh, no, I've seen something like this before. Back when I was still called the King Wolfgarm, the dreadful monster that appeared before me, presumably due to the fame to my name, the Living Dead King. Its pitch black, hollow eyes it had when it confronted me, she's got those eyes, too. This is bad, very bad. She's totally going to kill me. That's right. You're one of the shortest around here. And I'd say your chest is a bit smaller compared to those of the other ladies back at the dormitory. Are you amazed by my analytical eyes now? Ha. Why does the hostility in Tifa's eyes exceed that of the King of the Dead now? How did she exceed even the fearful aura of the Living Dead King, an SS-ranked monster by the human standards? Do the humans actually have such a powerful individual among them? How dreadful. But however dreadful Tifa may be, if I can only manipulate her, then the world will belong to me in no time. Tarawo. What is it, Tifa? Are you finally going to prepare a plan for our world domination project? Very well. Die. Very well, wait, what? Die. Right now. In 5 seconds. In 10 seconds. Oh, God, save me. What are you joking about, Tifa? As you are my master, you're sure to have difficulties without me around. You'd best not to joke about such a disturbing topic, Whenever you're ready, all right? Why does she look so serious? Isn't that, like, scary enough to drive away an ogre king? How did my master Tifa get this angry? Remember, me. What in the world did I say to her in the heat of the moment? That's it. Tifa was reacting to the world small. And so I answered her, honestly. I didn't think I was making the wrong choice there. But the fact that she's angry now means I must have chosen wrong. I didn't say anything incorrect, but in her eyes, I was wrong. That must be it. So what now? How can I even apologize to her? And about what first? What I said about her height? Or her chest? Perhaps both. If so, then I must have made a terrible mistake. But she did have a weaker reaction when I started off commenting about her height. If she was so sensitive about that, then she undoubtedly would have stopped me from talking right then. Considering that, the answer is clear as day. Her chest. But why? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. It seems that I have no choice but to play the role of a familiar who cares for his master above all else. Be it beasts, monsters, or humans, all living creatures should possess the capacity for expressing motherly care inside them. Do it. Teruo, familiar of Tifa. With my 4 paws, nothing is impossible. Listen well, Tifa. Do not concern yourself with the size of your chest, for it is not a major factor in your ability to create offspring. On the contrary, you currently hold a good number of advantages. Now, I shall lend you a piece of my extensive wisdom. For example, if you were to be attacked from your sides, as unlikely as that actually is, then I will be able to use my breath attack to cover you. With your speed, you will be able to avoid that unharmed, of course. But with a larger chest, you have a higher hitbox, and thus are more likely to be grazed by the attack. In other words, having a smaller chest increases your chances of survival. Don't you agree, Tifa? Die, oh, God, save me. Chapter 113, Ear Against the Wall. I am Teruo. My oh-so-great master is Tifa. Huff, huff. Tifa. Some recovery magic here. Please. Don't worry, you won't die from that. Non-fatal it may be, but you do realize that my forehead is splitting open, don't you? Anna, that sure sounds fatal. Now, I must also stress the point that this experience has taught me a valuable lesson in regard to humans. Particularly, how they are so very conscious of the size of their chests. I shall make it a point to compliment the chests of every human being I meet from here on out. Still, if only I had my original powers intact, things would never have turned out this badly. What a harsh world I now live in. And at any rate, Tifa still has not agreed to slow down to match my pitiful pace of walking. Just look at her. She's totally ridiculing me with how she turned to show me her grin as she picked up her pace. How rude. Anyways, wherever could we be headed to? Surely it wouldn't hurt for Tifa to simply tell me the destination, but no, she just has to keep me in the dark. I swear, she's the most troubling child I have ever seen. It seems that we are walking toward the north of Beilanea. If I remember correctly, we are along the outer perimeter of the Grand Market. It seems I was right, I'm seeing countless lantern lights at my side, coupled with the noises of activity of countless humans. Quite an uplifting atmosphere for this normally lonely hour, indeed. However, that is there, where we are now is nowhere nearly as noisy. But its lower density of activity is precisely the reason I, as her familiar, must protect Tifa to the best of my abilities. She shall thank me. And apologize for what she has done to me so far. Good. Very good. So very good. And if then, how should I go from there? Take up permanent residence on Tifa's lap. Permit her to work full-time as my first stroker. Or perhaps I could go with both. The extent of my ambition dwarfs all who stand before me. Where do you think you're going? NGH, how did I not notice when Tifa stopped walking? How? Has she already mastered such an advanced tier of self-concealment? And what's with this cheap signboard? Have they not heard that I would be here, and thus did not think to prepare accordingly? No use crying over spilled milk, then. If only they knew of my fated arrival, they never would have presented such an impolite piece of work. Oh. The paw print on this edge of the sign, now this is something to behold. Moreover, I have been forced by Tifa to learn the humans' written text over the past few months, so I might as well read what's written here. Asley Agency. I think that's what it is. The Asley part of that name seems to stand out to me in some way. Tifa opened the building's old, creaky door, revealing what seems to be a shop counter. A brown-haired woman was sitting in the seat on the other side. I can tell that she has already come of age, despite her height suggesting otherwise. She's only a slight bit taller compared to Tifa. Neither a warrior nor a mage, from what I'm seeing. Wait, no, my vague memory suggests that we have met before. When and where could that be? Anyways, what business does my oh-so-great master have in coming here? Hello. Welcome to the Asley Agency. Oh. Tifa. Hey, Itsuki. It's been a while since I last saw you. You don't have work at the guild today? I didn't know that you were working here as well. Aha, that's it. I do remember there being an Itsuki working at the Adventurers Guild as a waiting person. I must say that she is a skillful one, what with her knowing the right spots to rub my back at. My shift ended at noon, and there's no one filling in here tonight, you see so. What do you need? Steal me that doggo, maybe? Ahaha. What? Me, being traded like a product. Hey, that's tempting, how much are you giving? How about 30 gold? Deal. Deal, my ass. I will not accept that low evaluation of my monetary worth. Hey, this place is nice, you know. You'll get to eat all the spicy curry you want. Oh ho. That's. That actually doesn't sound like a bad deal. Ahahaha. You're a funny little guy. I didn't hear you talk last time, so that's also a surprise. Yeah, you'll have a great time here. You'd make a good competition for Pochi, too. NGH, she considers me, a king wolf garm, to be on par with a resident of this shabby establishment. I ought to be careful with how I proceed. That's it. Tifa now has a different look in her eyes. By that, you mean Pochi. This Pochi, is it a Siberian husky familiar? Way dash. How'd you tell, gay? NGH, Tifa just grabbed that young woman's shirt collar. How did this conversation take a turn for the violent so suddenly? Despite what I have been through, I have never seen Tifa act like this. What's its master's name? Master, you mean Sir Asley? Oh, she let her go. And then, she smiled. And what an intense smile that is. She's turning Itsuki pale with fear. If that was directed at me, I think I might wet my pants. If I had any. Ow, that hurt. I'm not into that kind of play, you know. I am not, either. So, you know Sir Asley. Makes sense, I guess. He's not all that famous with the general public, but just about anyone in the fighting crowd around here would know him. And from the look on your face, it's safe to assume that you do know him, huh? Where is he? He's at Royal Capital Regalia right now. Left a few days ago to take a rank-up evaluation. But he'll be back by tomorrow, or at least that what Miss Lena said she's doing the grab again. What in the world is happening? Why do I have to witness this? You mean Lena is living here as well? Ow. Oh. Itsuki uttered as if she saw someone behind us. Turning around, I see the very one in question, the young lady called Lena. Not only her, but also others I recognize, Bruce, Blazer, Natsu, and Haruhana. And also, a green-haired child. Who might that be? Hey, you're Tifa, right? The one who went to hunt the assault kobold with Haruhana. We're back, Itsuki. Looks like you've got yourself quite a passionate client today. Stop it, Sir Blazer. Ahahaha. So this Tifa girl is looking for Sir Asley and, Is something wrong, Miss Lena? Lena, standing in the very front of the group, seems to be petrified. NGH, and apparently, my master is, too. Whatever is going on here? The rest of the people here are saying nothing as they watch over those two. Great. Lena, the one to eventually break the silence was Tifa. Tifa, is that really you? You two already know each other. Good, makes things go faster. Come on, let's go inside. By Bruce's initiation, Itsuki proceeds to guide us inside. It seems that we are going into a reception room of sorts, but, sit here. How's this? I am being shut out. But why? What is the meaning of this? And how am I so easily fooled? Damn you. Now that it has come to this, I shall resort to listening in with my ear pressed against the door. So you're Tarawo, was it? Looks like you know how to get stuff done around here. Bruce said, keeping his voice down. Oh ho, I can immediately tell that he also is curious about the talk between the two girls. Shoo, you'll blow our cover. Blazer whispered. Now all faces, save for one, are stacked on top of each other as they try to listen in. It paints quite a sordid picture on these people's sense of personal space. Natsu, Itsuki, and even Lala. It is improper for a young woman to act like this, you three. Oh, thank you for the information, Haruhana. The green-haired girl is called Lala, noted. Her face is looking round as a ball as she keeps herself on the stack with the others. And now, even after having said that warning of hers, Haruhana also is listening in. Oh, you cunning little lady. It seems that you all are in for quite an interesting conversation. What, and you're in as well, Czar? Of course we are. Listen well now, it seems that they are getting started. NGH, now everyone here is leaning an ear each on the door to listen in. Why? Why? I mean, this actually doesn't feel all that bad. Chapter 114, Trails of Asley, 9:07 in the afternoon, 31st day of the 3rd month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar. Lena and Tifa stood in the Asley agency reception room, beside the window that faced the street leading to the marketplace, staring intently at each other's face. In a standing unusual of her, Tifa tried to keep calm, gripping her grey robe tightly. Minutes passed with neither of them speaking nor making even a move. Both kept their eyes trained on the other, observing the changes the other had gone through over the year. The one to eventually break the status quo was Lena. Putting on a smile, she turned to the window and looked up at the sky above. It sure has been a long time. Yeah. Although they had been apart for 3 years, the two former pupils of Asley's completed their reunion with such a short greeting. I heard some time ago that you were coming to Beilanea, and I did try to find you in my free time, but I guess I didn't look hard enough. But, where did you hear that from? Only a handful of people would know what Tifa had been up to in recent times. Up to now, she had been keeping her activities discreet while using a false name most of the time. From Chief Ryan. When he Chief. You mean you got to meet him? Yeah. Everyone's here in Beilanea now. Chief, my brother and sister, Miss Reina, and even Adolf. Tifa stepped forward, not hiding any of her surprise. Wait. What's going on, oh? Tifa considered the look on Lena's face as it was reflected on the window glass, what had just been said, and the implications behind them, processing them in her head. It meant that their hometown was no more. However, there was one thing that Tifa did not understand. She had left town before anything had happened. She could more or less accept the facts regarding the whole thing, but that one point she could not understand. Well, I did arrive here just last month. That must have been pretty fast, if I say so myself. Traveling in a big group should have been difficult to manage too, so how'd everyone got here before me? So, it's Sir Asley, you see. He went to help, and then he used the teleportation magic spell dash, with Lena saying that. Tifa's already wide eyes further widened. She then proceeded to draw a spell circle behind Lena. Rise, a rise, a rise. Rise. Storeroom. Surprised by the circle's reflection on the window, Lena turned around. It was a spell she could not perform. She did know of its existence, as Asley's original spell that she could never figure out, and now Tifa was invoking it. Tifa, how'd you? It's part of the homework Sir Asley gave me to do. Oh Tifa, I've left some homework for you at the house I used to live in. Please give it a good look. When you're done with it, you must then study and train on your own. Understood? Lena now recalled what Asley had said to Tifa years ago, just before Asley and Lena left Falltown. And at the same time, she now remembered how strange Asley sounded at the time. He had been, in his own way, trying to keep up the teacher role to the best of his abilities. Perhaps because of how funny that was to think back to, Lena could not resist her urge to smile. Although perplexed by Lena's expression, Tifa proceeded to take out an old book from her storeroom, and then placed it on the table. Tifa then took a seat, followed by Lena sitting down beside her. Look at this, is this his research notes on the teleportation magic spell? That's not all. Instant transmission, space-time transmission, and even water materialization, there's a whole lot of stuff here. Anna, instant transmission. Did Asley learn that from Goku? The shock rendered Lena speechless. Even Tifa, who had been in possession of the book this entire time, was shaking with awe as she held it in her hands. So I've heard that one of the 6 archmages had invented the teleportation spell 2 years ago, but from the looks of it, it was by Sir Asley, after all. Lena, now perfectly calm, nodded lightly. Tifa closed her eyes and sighed, seemingly relieved by that fact. But I've never heard about these 3. And considering that the teleportation spell is already instant, what's the difference between it and instant transmission? It's messed up here and there by Pochi's paw prints and drool, so I don't know that much either. But even more annoying than that is, how many misspellings Sir Asley made in it. Lena cracked a wry smile and scratched her own cheek, amused by the manifestation of Asley's usual quirks. He's got at least one misspelling every 5 words. It's fine and all for the simple parts, but it makes the important explanations almost impossible to understand. I swear, he's really testing my skill with this dash. Tifa spoke as if she thought that Asley had thought this through, but Lena was holding back her urge to shake her head and state otherwise. Anyway, to keep it short, the instant transmission spell is designed for use in battle. Then wouldn't that be, Tifa nodded, preemptively confirming what she knew would follow that statement. As the name implies, it's not a movement, but a transmission. For example, you could instantly put yourself behind your enemy. The two looked at each other, bewildered at the prospect. It's extremely versatile, or would be, if it's actually usable. I'd say it's the key to blur the lines between warriors and mages' capabilities. Right, it sure would. So, what about the space-time transmission? This one actually made me laugh. It's like a dream, you know, being able to travel through time. But it's noted that, even if it can be implemented, it would eat up even more than all 3 of the Holy Warrior's arcane energy stock combined. I've calculated it, and if I did that right, you'd need to supply it 200,000 MP almost instantaneously. Lena was surprised by 2 different things. One was Asley's achievements, of course, but above that was how much Tifa had improved herself. As a mage, Lena was impressive enough to be given the nickname, Silent Witch. Just by sitting next to Tifa, she could already get a rough read on the latter's combat capabilities. Lena could detect that Tifa's arcane energy was abnormally powerful for her age, but also that the latter's abilities were not yet on her level. Regardless, Tifa had in her possession a great deal of knowledge unobtainable from neither the Magic University nor the Adventurers Guild. This was the result of Asley's homework. Of her teaching and learning things herself. Her knowledge and degree of effort were the most surprising things. Tifa, as if to encourage Lena, proceeded to say, so the most realistic thing out of the bunch would be, the water spell manifestation. Water magic usually requires a water source to be usable, right? If this is successfully implemented, it's sure to change everything, right? If people could call water out of thin air with magic formulas, then they would be able to survive as long as they have arcane energy. Its widespread use would quickly open up ways to make barren land fertile, too. So what does the book say about it? It looks super complex and needs some supplementary magecraft formulas, too. But the important part of it is, well, Tifa stopped her explanation and showed Lena the particularly crumpled pages of the book. The letters were so distorted that they were impossible to read. Ahahaha. That's got to be Pochi drool again. Chances are there's some of Sir Asley's in that, too. Tifa put on a wry smile as if to agree with Lena's thoughts. Lena then spoke up, as if she had just realized something. Wait, Tifa, you already know how to do magecraft. Why yeah. He's left a lot of books about it with his homework, and here I am, not knowing much of it after all this time. I would have preferred to be the first to leave, really. I'm jealous of you, you know, getting to be with Sir Asley all this time. Although Tifa had said all that calmly, Lena noticed otherwise based on the words alone. It was jealousy directed at her for being the one who got to live a privileged life, and not only because she had been hogging their former teacher for just herself all this time. During Asley's 2 years in Falltown, despite Tifa being a child at the time, he had influenced her life greatly. Not only that, his mere presence meant a lot to her. The thought made Lena feel a tingling sensation in her chest. Tifa, having somewhat of a bad feeling from how she acted, watched over her. She wondered, could it be that Lena also, anyway, where's Chief living at now? And the others? Although Lena fumbled as she hurried to reply to Tifa, it took only moments for her to remember that it was a simple enough question and answer accordingly. The hour approached 10, but this matter was too important to wait until morning. When it came to informing everyone of Tifa's safety, a delayed report was not an option. Lena initiated a telepathic call with Ryan, and the latter picked up almost immediately. Lena then passed the message to Tifa that the chief was delighted by the news, prompting Tifa to heave a sigh of relief. After that, Tifa held up her index finger to her lips. In response, Lena cracked a wry smile and nodded. They tiptoed to the door and swung it open without warning, causing all those who listened in to avalanche into the room. Their stack toppled. I'm a Chihuahua," hearing the throaty voice of her familiar spew a storm of excuses with the intensity of the seventh lunge, Tifa shifted from her sigh of relief to a sigh of a bizarre mixture of emotions. Chapter 115, That Chant, 10:40 in the afternoon, 31st day of the 3rd month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar. Ryan and the others were paying a visit to the Asley agency, called over by Lena. "It's good to see you safe and sound, Tifa." "Chief, it's been a long time." Tifa bowed to Ryan. In response to seeing that, Teruo puffed up his face with his eyes opened wide. Then he turned to Ryan with a look of envy and awe. Ryan patted Tifa on her shoulders and looked on as if he was looking a child of his own. Perhaps due to all the eyes around her, Tifa reddened up slightly with embarrassment. She pulled down her hood, as if to escape from everyone's smile. Reed, Mana, Reyna, and Adolf took their turns patting Tifa's head as she kept quiet, with Lena happily looking on all the while. Man, never thought that Tifa girl would be related to Asley as well. Bruce chuckled. That, and her being Lena's junior under his tutorship. I should have noticed when Haruhana spoke as if she was recalling something. Everyone in the reception room directed their attention to that statement, seemingly curious about what she would say next. Well, there is that chanting she did before casting her spells. Before Haruhana even finished her sentence, an utterance of realization echoed through the room. Except from Teruo, who had question marks floating over his head, and Lena, who had a joyful smile on her face. Which reminds me, Professor Traces started doing that lately, too. Natsu spoke up with a cheerful voice. Lena, unaware of how Natsu got to know Trace, looked around for clarification. In response, Blazer shrugged his shoulders and proceeded to explain. The short form of it was that Natsu had been put under Trace's tutorship at one point by Irene's recommendation. Lena could not hide her surprise at yet another unexpected revelation. Sorry, that did surprise me, too. Just found out the other day. Blazer added, sounding unnecessarily apologetic. Natsu, I also taught you some spells, you know. But Lala, your air tracing is too fast. I can't learn from that. What, Sir Instructor? Didn't you say that the faster I draw them, the better? Exceptions for the right situations. Lala was at her wit's end trying to figure out the lesson Czar tried to teach her. Oh. Please teach me about that, too. Tomorrow. Yes, sire. Lena showed some surprise toward what Czar had just said, which prompted a look of confusion from Reed. Something wrong, Lena? I almost forgot. Tomorrow is the university's entrance ceremony, oh. Right. As Tifa seemed to have just recalled that, Teruo proceeded to ask her a follow-up question. Tifa, don't you have to deliver the freshman representative opening speech? Wait, you mean, the freshman representative, Tina, is Tifa? WL. I thought it'd be better to hide my real name. Lena cracked a wry smile at Tifa's tendency to worry. Then perhaps we all should attend the ceremony tomorrow. That would be wonderful, Chief. Reina was the first to voice her agreement, followed by Natsu, Itsuki, Lala, Czar, and lastly the Silver Trio. Wait, you all really don't need to. Especially Reed and Mana. I'll slap you if you come. Well. Looks like I've got to be ready for a hit or two. Heh, sure. I could get used to it. The room erupted in laughter, which in turn caused Tifa to puff up with anger. Amidst that, Teruo looked up at Reed and kept his voice low enough for Tifa not to hear. You've got an impressive chest, you know that? What? Immediately as he finished his statement, he ran into one corner of the room. Lena, as if to chase Teruo down, followed there, crouched down, and greeted him. Long time no see, Teruo. Oh ho, you remember me? Good. You know that I would never let you hear the end of it if you do forget me, Of course I remember you tickle-tickletical, . Oh. Oh ho ho. Quite good. Very well, I allow you to rub my chin until the ceremony comes. Ahahaha, I can't do it for that long, is that so? As long as possible, then. He, all right, Teruo, wagging his tail and savoring the goodness that was Lena's chin rub, caught sight of Lala and Itsuki as they peered at him over Lena's shoulders. Do you two need something? If you desire to touch me, there is still plenty of space on my back. So. This dog's stupid cute, too. What ? You dare call me, a king wolf, stupid? Oh, Lala's stupid has about the same meaning of awesome, you see. Sorry about that, Teruo. Itsuki, stroking one side of Teruo's back as if to ask for forgiveness, immediately got it as Teruo's expression returned to normal. Hey. Can I touch you as well? Can I? Ugh. I permit you to. Oh yeah. Lala proceeded to rub the other side of Tarawo's back. At the same time, Bruce spoke to the rest of the group behind her. All right, remember to get dressed in your best duds for Tifa tomorrow. Gah, just do whatever you want. Tifa let out a weak sigh, and was then patted on her shoulders from behind by Ryan once again. As Tifa looked up at him, what reflected in her eyes was the rare happy expression of the leading man. Magic University Central School Building, 8:48 in the morning, first day of the 4th month. In front of the Maginasium, Clarice and Anri were on reception duty. And within the Maginasium, Idea and Mitters were standing around, glaring at Hornell, who sat in one of the chairs below the podium. The reason was that they had been, for the most part, forced to be stuck here. Miss Idea, Mr. Mitters, I know you two were reluctant, but please perform your duties properly. But Professor Trace, aren't our preparation duties supposed to be over yesterday? I tried to get us general audience seats, but then Hornell tricked us into working on another thing, you see. Seriously, he's such a slave driver. Oh, so that's what it was. Consider that to be a display of Mr. Hornell's capabilities, then. Trace smiled as she stole a glance at Hornell, then turned on her heel and walked toward the backstage. Bah, isn't it about time the people came in? Let's hurry up and get back to Dash. Just as Mitters was about to finish his sentence, a loud shout came from the direction of the entrance. Hey there. Doing a good job here. Idea. Mitters. The two turned around upon hearing a voice they recognized. What they first saw was Czar, jumping out of the bag on Lala's back. And then Bruce, who was giving Lala a piggyback ride. Anri and Clarice also noticed them, and were happy to see some familiar faces. Sir Bruce, Sir Blazer. In the same manner as Bruce, Blazer appeared with Natsu on his shoulders, followed by Haruhana, Itsuki, and Ryan walking in behind them. Mitters, due to all the strangeness of the scene, had a drop of cold sweat run down his face. Hey, the hell's going on? Looks like a well-trained group. Especially the man in the back, he's crazy strong. Idea seemed to have the same impression as Mitters had. Bruce and the others, after stating that they were here as visitors, greeted the two before passing by them. Please use this, sir. Clarice passed Ryan a quill pen. Thank you. Clarice blushed in response to Ryan's gentle smile at her. Anri, breathless from the disbelief of what she was seeing, nudged Clarice with her elbow. Hey. Clarice, you doing all right? Hoo hoo. I must say that older men are quite fascinating. Like Sir Asley. Like Sir Ryan here, Clarice, enchanted, read out the name that had just been signed in the registration book. Seeing such behavior, Anri continued to say, exasperatedly, shouldn't Asley be around the same age as us, though? I mean, I get where you're coming from, but... Oh, looks like it's about time. Apparently so. Let us get going. Magic University Central School Building, 9 o'clock in the morning, first day of the 4th month. By this time, all the bustle within the Maginasium had died down. Particularly because, the Magic University staff, led by Headmaster Tengelin, were now all seated on the stage. Irene, Trace, Lena and Hornell could be seen among them. Following the lead of Lena, the student council president, the current students and lecturers stood up. They proceeded to sing the university anthem in unison, accompanied by the melody from the piano. Lost our arms may be, we shall march on, lost our limbs may be, we shall march on, for wills of our ancestors, the passionate souls, for hearts of might and magic, the lights of hope, to the ends of the black and white chain, Beilanea, ah, our alma mater, of might and magic, although the students were singing in perfect unison. Bruce grumbled as he watched on from the back row of the general audience seating area. I don't think I can bring myself to sing this out loud, man. After the university anthem was the introduction of the freshman's homeroom teacher, Headmaster Tangelin's ceremonial address, and then congratulatory speeches from guest speakers, which happened to be Dragan and Jacob this year. During Lena's welcome speech as the student representative, she not only gave a performance befitting of a student council president, but also displayed the great extent of her education in her form, words, knowledge, and experience, all of which surprised Ryan and the others greatly. Reed and Manna shed a tear at the sight of their little sister's eloquent speech in the spotlight, and Adolf had his face turned beet red as he kept his eyes on Lena. Natsu and Itsuki's eyes sparkled with admiration, and Lala was, asleep, exhausted from working the fields so early in the morning. Reina held Ryan's hands as they both smiled, while Blazer and Bruce were moved to tears, the former keeping his voice down, and the latter cheering as loudly as he could. Lena noticed them, of course, and did not miss the opportunity to reference it. Let us turn these voices of joy into a driving force for our lifelong pursuit of self-improvement. She wrapped up her speech beautifully. The applause she received was not out of courtesy, but a genuine compliment that shook the whole assembly, and emotionally moved Tifa as she observed from the freshmen's designated seats as well. Then it was time for the freshman representative, Tifa, to get on the stage. Although she had enrolled under the alias of Tina, upon being assured of her safety by Lena, she had requested to correct it under the guise of it being a misprint. It went without saying that Trace had been perfectly understanding and cooperative with the process. Tifa's sluggish and apathetic delivery of her speech has made the people think of her to be unsophisticated as their first impression, but regardless, they encouraged her on with a wholesome round of applause. The fact that she had a familiar with her has attracted the attention of prospective attendants, their whispers of exciting speculation cropping up throughout the Maginasium. Ryan and the others looked on with smiles of all their faces. The ceremony ended without incident, and then, just as Asley and Lena had years ago, Tifa and the freshmen followed Trace's lead to their classroom. Chapter 116, A Nostalgic Scent. Now, they were in the same classroom in which Asley had studied 3 years ago. Tifa and the other freshmen, led here by Trace, inserted their name tags into the nameplates of their chosen seats, and then sat down with a myriad of expectations in their hearts. And of course, there was a nameplate for Tarawo as well. Oh ho, that Trace woman is quite considerate. I'll make sure to remember her. Tarawo mused on as he stared at Trace, his tail wagging in rhythm with his throaty voice. Trace started off by giving students a welcoming speech of her own. First was a brief outline of their school life and schedule of activities from tomorrow onwards. Then, as if she was so used to the routine, Trace proceeded to hand out 2 rolls of parchment to each of the students. They were, of course, the black and white chain contract sheets. The black and white chain affiliation contract. The following is a binding contract between and the black and white chain. Second party, 1. The first party shall endeavor to train their mind and body, and to bear an attitude appropriate of a warrior and or mage. 2. The first party, on the occasion of the Devil King's invasion, shall agree to participate in the battles to defeat the Devil King and provide complete support to the holy warriors. 3. The first party shall be exclusively affiliated with either the black or white faction, and adhere to the activities and ideologies of the second party. In signing this document, the first and second parties agree to operate according to the above terms. The first and second parties will each hold a copy of this document in their custody. First day of the 4th month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar. First party, second party, the black and white chain. Oho, a contract, NGH. The symbols are too difficult. Mind reading this out for me, Tifa? Tifa, paying no care to Tarawo's words, proceeded to read the contract sheet thoroughly. Here it is, the contract Lena told me about. It's applied with a powerful arcane energy constraint. If the writer of this contract wanted, they could create a fearless army with a single command. Oh, so that's why she told me to use this spell. Rise, arise, arise, letter edit. It was none other than the spell Asley had used to force an alteration of the document's letters. Asley had taught it to Lena at one point, and Lena would have gotten to pass it to Tifa if the latter hadn't already known it. It was among the homework projects that Asley had left behind for her. Although it was a relatively advanced spell, Tifa had successfully imitated it with her extraordinary capacity for learning. She had first used it to overwrite the name of Falltown, her hometown, on her letter of recommendation. Although she hadn't forged the Iverial Town mayor's signature like Asley had done, she had indeed used the same method. Having confirmed its viability at the university on the day of her entrance examination, Tifa felt greatly relieved. That was the reason why she had turned down Lena's offer to teach it to her. The letter edit spell that Lena had learned from Asley and the one that she had taught herself back at Falltown, she didn't know that those two were based on different formulas. She waited and waited, but the letters on the contract sheet did not change. NGH-. They're not moving, did I mess up the invocation? She cast the letter edit spell once again, making sure she was thorough and discreet. However, the letters on the contract sheet still would not budge. Why? Why? While everyone else, one after another, tossed their signed papers into either the black or white box, Tifa grew impatient, scrambling for a way to work things out with her hands scratching her head. Tarawo, sitting next to her, eventually spoke up, "The arcane energy housed in these papers is quite something. I can see things going way south if you were to sign the contract. As time passes, the effects of its terms will encroach on your being. You'd need an equally vast amount of arcane energy to void it out." Tifa realized what was up upon hearing Tarawo's whispers of idle complaints. Her failure to invoke the letter edit on the contract was due to her arcane energy being inferior to that of the one who had written it. The version of letter edit that Lena had intended to teach Tifa had been modified by Asley, elevating its effect above that of the original. The version that Tifa had used just now was only a prototype of it. The very same prototype had been used successfully by Asley 3 years ago, but only because his arcane energy had expanded to an immeasurable magnitude over the past 5,000 years. Tifa, on the other hand, has only been in this world for 15 years. Although her arcane energy was greater than average, it still was within an expected range of her level. As things stood, Tifa had no way of learning the new letter edit right now since Lena was not here with her, and not to mention the fact that she wouldn't be able to draw one of Asley's intricate circles immediately even if she knew how to. Her impatience showed prominently on her face. She contemplated simply signing her name and turning it in, since at this point, she was the only person in the room who hadn't already done so. Ifa. Miss Tifa. Yes. Trace stood in front of Tifa's seat, looking quite troubled by how the latter replied to her in such a high-pitched shrill. "You're the only one who hasn't turned a sheet in. Have you signed it?" Yes, I mean, no," as Tifa stammered on, Trace took the liberty to unroll one of her contract sheets. And then. "Oh, but I can see that you already have." "Huh. Now, please drop it in either the black or white box." Trace shot a subdued wink to Tifa as the latter stared back blankly. Tifa now realized that Trace was rescuing her. She remembered how she had heard the name, Trace, yesterday, from Natsu back at the Pachusli agency. Tifa simply had yet to connect the dots at the time. Because of that, she also couldn't quite figure out why she was being helped in the current situation. Tifa followed Trace down to the podium at the very front of the classroom, the latter's heels ringing a prominent click every step along the way, and then proceeded to drop the still blank contract sheet into the box of the white faction. Trace smiled, her glasses shining as she pushed its frame up. "She has chosen white. I see. Then she will be a very welcome addition to our ranks, especially with how Miss Lena and Professor Irene has been informing me on things that have been going on with the black and white chain lately. I reckon there is no need to force her into this, especially since she's an acquaintance of Mr. Asley's. In fact, I should have known when she did that chant during her entrance examination." Naturally, the Magic University's entrance examination did have a demonstration of practical skills as one of its criteria. Even Asley, Lena, and Hornell had gone through it in some form despite making the cut with just the test of knowledge. As Trace had been the one to oversee the examinations for this semester, she had seen Tifa cast some spells and heard the chanting that came with them. It was the same chant that she had started to do recently, and a clear sign of one's connection to Asley. Tifa, heaving a sigh of relief, hurried back to her seat, and proceeded to poke Tarawo's forehead, to the latter's confusion. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, first day of the 4th month, 94th year of the War Demon calendar, Sir Asley's room. Itsuki, back at Pachusli Agency, responded to Tifa's question of her own. Getting a nod back, Itsuki then shook her head in disapproval. Well, it's on the 2nd floor, on the side of the street. So you go up the stairs and straight to the end of the hallway. Now stop right there, Tifa. You can't just walk in there. Tifa, who had started to ascend the stairs in the middle of the sentence, stepped back down upon being called out by Itsuki. Oh, I'm not going to just walk in. For a moment, Itsuki felt relieved to hear that. Because I'm gonna break my way in. Hey! That's not what I meant. Itsuki tried to follow Tifa up the stairs, but was prompted to stop her feet by a ringing of the doorbell. She peeked at the entrance doorway through the staircase's railings, and saw that a shabbily dressed woman and a girl was waiting there, both looking around restlessly. She could immediately tell that these kinds of people were here for the Pachusli Agency's services. Oh, a customer. Look, Tifa, just get down here, wait, she's gone. Tifa and Tarawo, having silently slipped away from Itsuki, were already in front of the room at the end of the 2nd floor hallway. Just like any other room, a wooden board with the name of the room's owner, with the addition of a paw print stamped to the end of it, hung from the center of the door. Tarawo took a step forward, perhaps misinterpreting Tifa's emotion as she locked her gaze on that name. Thinking of assassinating the person inside, Tifa? Heh, very well. Just follow my lead. Tifa ignored him, instead stepping forward herself and twisting the doorknob open. I see. So you want me as the rear guard? Rest assured, I shall protect you with my lead dash. Then she slammed the door shut right in front of Tarawo. Oh. Tifa looked around Asley's room, and saw that it was quite plain, not being furnished with anything particularly unnecessary. The thing that did catch her eye, however, was the mountain of documents and writing materials on the table. That, and a comb with bundles of fur stuck on it, left lying around in front of a mirror. The next thing Tifa caught sight of was a dimly glowing spell circle in a corner of the room. She crouched down and examined it, tracing over the formulas with her finger. The formula is extremely complicated and applied with a personal identification code. This is probably the fixed position teleportation spell. Amazing. Outside the room, Tarawo kept rambling on while he faced the door. He was quiet now, but considering his tendency, he was sure to blow up sooner or later. Right, of course. She's testing how far I'd go for a friend, Very well. This wood scrap of a door is the same as cotton candy against my demonic claws. Oh, now I'm having a craving for some cotton candy. Tifa, I could do with some cotton candy right about now. Tifa. Are you listening to me, Tifa? But of course, Tifa paid no attention to him. Finding nothing else of interest after looking around for a while longer, she proceeded to sit down on the bed. Then the realization hit her, of what this nostalgic scent was that had been getting into her nose this whole time. It was the scent of the beast beside the person who had been teaching her magic up until 3 years ago. Overcome with nostalgia, Tifa's face put up a naturally wry smile as she grumbled at how the room smelled of pochi. She then proceeded to lean down on the bed, directing her eyes up to the unfamiliar ceiling. Good God, today sure was an exhausting day. The time now was 5:10 in the afternoon, 50 minutes before Asley returned to his room. Chapter 117, My Second Excellent Pupil. I swung the door open before the scratching got any worse. and was welcomed by the sight of a scampering chihuahua. NGH-. Who are you? You are in the presence of Tarawo, the king wolf Garm. What do you want? What a strange dog. He's so cute. Such was the first opinion of it from my equally strange familiar. Hey, you're right. Even Betty agreed with her. Is he really all that cute, though? Me. Cute? Did that tick him off? He does seem to have quite an inflated ego and all, so. Of course I am. Nope, doesn't seem like it. I don't even know what is going on anymore. Okay, let's sort things up first. So the girl sleeping here is probably Tifa. And this chihuahua, claiming to be a king wolf Garm, seems to be named Tarawo. We're going downstairs to let everyone know we're back, so you stay here and keep things under control, Asley. Come on, Pochi, let's go. Yes. Hey dash, bah, there they go. So, anyway, what's the deal with you? Oh, I see, so you are the so-called Asley. Huh, did my name offend him or something? What's up with this? Familiar? I can't quite get a read on his personality. And he seems to already know me. Did Tifa tell him? Or was there a weird rumor making the rounds in town again? Well, yeah, NGH. I knew it. You. What? You've got an impressive chest. Excuse me. What even compelled him to compliment my chest, of all things, just now? Aha, that's it. Heh, Admirant, my pecs really good ein cha. Heh, sounds like gibberish to me, but that's exactly it. Behold. My muscle control. Ugh. Your chest is moving. What mastery of arcane energy. This is no magic, boy. No magic. All I need is pure physical energy. Muscle power. Ugh. Muscle power. Zemel, Asley. What's going on here? What are you doing? Hey there, Itsuki. Well. That was embarrassing. Just, look at her eyes. It was like she just found a rare monster. Like, a tentacle-type monster or something. Asley, don't stop now. And no more time for that anymore. Why? I don't understand. Shut up, that didn't come from Itsuki's direction, nor was it Tarawo's throaty voice. Not from me either, of course. I still haven't disengaged my side chest pose, so I let go of my arm, transitioning to the front relaxed pose, and then the side relaxed pose as I turned around, to see that Tifa was rubbing her eyes, fighting off her remaining drowsiness as she stared at me. The light in her eyes felt quite sharp and powerful, but overall, my student doesn't seem to have changed. What are you doing in here without my permission, Tarawo? Do that again and I'll throw you into my dinner soup, apologies. Yeah, no, she actually seems to have changed quite a lot. Oh no. Oh no. Our eyes met. Somehow, it's like she's been petrified by what she'd seen, or something like that. Anyway, I'd best to say hi first. Hey, Tifa. Looks like you're doing fine for yourself. I might have sounded a bit too casual there, what with it coming out on the spur of the moment. Tifa tilted her head slightly to her side, then rubbed her eyes again. Perhaps she was still tired, or perhaps she was confused. Oh. Now she's standing up. She pulled her hood down, stayed silent, and walked past me. She also went past Itsuki, out the door, and proceeded to pick Tarawo up in her arms. Whatever is the matter, Tifa? Oh. Heh. I see you've finally fallen for my dash. Around the moment his statement got there, she slammed the door shut. Then I could hear a brief whine from Tarawo, followed by footsteps of a furiously paced run. Itsuki and I, the only ones left in my room, turned to look at each other. What are you doing? This is called the front double biceps pose. Seeing Itsuki's blank, cold stare, I knew that I had to successfully imitate Irene's arcane energy circulation optimizer for myself as soon as possible. "Hey, what did you do to that kid?" She bolted out of the place with her face all red, you know. "I can't believe you, master." She was so teary-eyed and all that. "That's got to be a new peak of your foolishness, sir." "What a cruel thing to say." "Well, only my familiar was the cruel one in this case. Could it be that my foolishness points are meant to never be deducted as long as I'm with my familiar, what with her tallying them up so religiously? Come to think about it, I might have thought about that once before. Anyways, once I was down to the first floor of Asley agency, everyone came out to welcome me back. "Congrats on your promotion, man. Did you get to let your explosive powers loose back there?" "Ha ha ha. Hey, Bruce. Looks like you're in a super good mood today." "Damn right I am. Ha ha ha. Come on, have a seat." After me, Pochi and Betty sat down to my sides, and then Blazer, Bruce, Haruhana, Natsu, Lala, and Zar took their seats around the table. We proceeded to talk while waiting for dinner to be served. Lena hasn't come back yet, chances are she's still busy cleaning up after the university's entrance ceremony. Maybe I should go check up on her later. Asley. Listen. You gotta come check out the fields. Me and Sir Instructor, we're getting good results back there. Ooh, nice. I'll make sure to go round to the courtyard later. No, Sir Asley, she meant the one at Falltown. Then that'll have to wait until tomorrow, it's a promise. All right? Sure thing. Hearing me say that, Lala's emerald eyes sparkled. At the same time, Zar kept his stare on me as if to communicate something else. I see. It seems that nothing has happened at Falltown since then. That more or less confirmed that the crystal sealing holy warrior Lilia's body was exactly what Cleeth had been after. That, or perhaps he actually was trying to destroy the place. Asley. Listen, Haruhana's got promoted to rank C. And I also just got to rank E. Ooh, way to go, Natsu. Looks like you're in for a celebration tonight. You too, Haruhana. Congratulations. Hoo, thank you very much. But shouldn't you and Miss Betty be the ones celebrated the most? Oh, you always know what to say, Haruhana. But you're in this as well. Congrats. Betty, in a gesture of thanks, hugged Haruhana and rubbed her cheek against hers. Haruhana closed her eyes and tried to shake herself off, now she's looking more fitting for a girl her age. Hee, and that's not all. We've called in some guests, consider this a surprise announcement. Bruce happily gave some sort of signal to Blazer. Guests? Who? Well, technically not guests anymore, though. Blazer gave me some sort of hint, stood up, and went to open the dining room's door. Oh, I see. This calm aura. It's got to be him. I stood up to welcome them. In anticipation of what Blazer might be saying to me from now on, I briefly cast my eyes down. Then I looked back up to look at them once again. Long time no see, Sir Asley. Leading their way in was Ryan, the chief, or rather, former chief of Falltown. To his side was Reyna, smiling as she bowed to me. Sir Ryan, Reyna. It's been quite a while, indeed. Asley, my man. I see you're still lookin' swole. Brother, spare us the embarrassing stuff, please. Geez, hey there, Asley. Reed and Mana, you two look like you've been doing some good training yourselves. And you Dash, good evening, Sir Asley. Congratulations on your promotion. Hello to you, too, Pochi. Adolf bowed down quite stiffly. He seemed quite nervous to be here. Oh, thank you. Now, everyone, please have a seat. Once everyone was sat down, Blazer, who sat opposite to me, started to talk, about what I've called Ryan and everyone else here for, it concerns the silver. Pochi, hearing him address Ryan without honorifics, had her ears twitch right up. I also reflexively turned to Ryan, but he signaled me with his eyes to listen to what Blazer has to say. From this point on, Ryan, and all of his subordinates here, is officially part of the Silver. I see. So he's addressing everyone equally while speaking from his position as the leader of the Silver. Additionally, with approval from Bruce, Betty, and Haruhana, I appoint Ryan as the Silver's second-in-command. Wait, so this whole time, Betty has been keeping this stuff away from me? We just got back moments ago, so there shouldn't have been enough time for them to discuss it with her today. Betty, noticing my glare, stuck out her tongue and winked. Okay, I'll admit that she pulled that gesture off nicely, but my mood right now dictates that she doesn't look cute at all. Well, that's that. And now both of the siblings are winking at me. Okay, guys, now you're just being creepy. Congratulations. Me, too. I'm in, too. Ooh, at long last. Congrats, Natsu. Perhaps still mixed on it, Blazer had a wry smile on his face when Natsu's inclusion to the team was brought up. And that would be perfectly reasonable, although it's more or less normal for children to fight in this day and age. She's going to be with a team that takes on high-level requests. Natsu's still got so many things to learn before she's up to snuff. She might end up pushing herself too hard, and that's nothing to be happy about. Perhaps she'd grown too attached to them. Now, we are supposed to support the kids who'd chosen to fight of their own accord, but this instance does show that things won't always play out as intended. But, what about Bruce and Betty? No offense to Sir Ryan, but those two have been with the Silver for the longest time, haven't they? Nah, we wouldn't be fit for the job. Okay, then. I did suggest the position to them, of course. It's perfectly in line with what they've always wanted. You see, Sir Asley, I thought I would be able to better provide you with assistance by working with them. Wait, what about the survivors from Falltown, sir? Oh, don't you worry, Asley. Reed interrupted. We'll be able to take care of them better by being in the Silver. The bigger the team, the more requests we can take, not to mention the work's going to be safer. Blazers agreed to keep our finances separate, too, so we'll be making more dough than we were before. We'll contribute to strengthening the team, of course. Hahaha, gotta do better than that, Reed. Haruhana just outranked you, remember. Shut up, Bruce. I'll get stronger than you in no time. Heh, go on and try it, E-man. Seeing how they were practically talking over Mana's head, I'm feeling quite sorry for her. Bruce and Betty, Reed and Mana, these two pairs of siblings bear quite a bit of resemblance. Not only in terms of personality, but also their relationship. Their abilities are still far apart, however. I look forward to seeing how strong all of them can get. Ha 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 ha, there you have it, Sir Asley. Inadequately skilled and equipped we may be, but I ask that you trust us to get things done. He's got quite a fascinating smile going on for him, that's for sure. The Silver sure has added a powerful ally into their ranks. Now then, this is the first time anyone's hearing about this, but did he mean that he'd been keeping some other new members a secret from everyone? Or maybe he'd deliberately chosen this timing to bring it up. Blazer is especially good at timing things, so I wouldn't put this past him. Considering that this decision was probably made by him alone, the latter sounds like the more likely explanation. Idea and Mitters will be joining us next year, when they graduate from the Magic University. Ooh, nice. Huh, so they've made up their minds already? Those two? I see, those three didn't seem all that surprised. It was like they'd long expected the addition. Still, Idea and Mitters, huh? Wait. What? I mean, those two are still under the black and white chain contract, aren't they? Chapter 118, Reverse Soul. So. I ended up being the one most surprised by that. I was about to ask Blazer how he was going to deal with it, but he spoke up before I could, elaborating on his statement. We got some help from Miss Irene. All right, that did clear up most of the doubt I had. But wasn't Irene herself supposed to be hindered by the same contract as well? I'll make sure to confirm that point sometime later. That's good to know. Still, idea and mitters, huh? I know it's reassuring and all to have university graduates in your team, but don't you think it's a bit too dangerous? You have a point there. The nation is bound to have an eye out for us, for how they broke free, among other things. Blazer affirmed me of my concerns. Now, if something comes up over there, we'll just deal with it ourselves. There's no need to worry. Look, Bruce, if we let this go, chances are we're used to doing this, you know. It's the usual business, just replace monsters with humans. That does mean we won't get to power our way through, though. And you know, you've got stuff you need to do, right? Bruce took a glance at my side. Man, I'll admit, he really surprised me with his detection skills. Footsteps echoed in from the entranceway, easing down the tense atmosphere in this room. Perhaps this could be considered another improvement my pupil had achieved. She has become quite an excellent mood maker. I'm back. Oh, Chief, and everyone's here today. Lena. You want to check out my fields? Yeah. Welcome back, Lena. Lala and Natsu were the first ones to welcome Lena at the dining room's door. Reed and Mana followed with their greetings, but without being loud. Then Ryan and Reina smiled at her. Pochi put her front paws up in a celebrating pose, except she wasn't looking at Lena, but rather at the tray of food that Itsuki was carrying in with her. See if you can read my mind, doggo, what are you celebrating for? Lena's return, or the food? Food is served. Called it. Once Natsu and Lala's loud welcome backing settled down, Lena looked back up and at me. From the way she'd sounded, it seemed that she'd already known that I was back. I had planned to go see her at the Magic University if she was stuck there this late, but it looked like she'd hurried back here instead. Well, I still had other plans to head out later either way, so it wasn't like this was messing with my plans or anything. Welcome back, Sir Asley. Congratulations on your promotion. Thanks. And congratulations on reaching your senior year, Lena. Lena bowed her head to me. From today on, she was finally in her last year at the Magic University. Silence filled the room in the time before Lena raised her head up, silence save for a certain dog's munching noises in between me and her. Hello. You know that I got promoted to rank S as well, right, Lena? Sorry, Miss Betty. Congratulations to you as well. Come on, Betty, it just means she wasn't worried whether you'd make it. Cut her some slack, yeah. Yeah, sure, I'll roll with that. Here, have a seat. Betty, who had been sitting next to me, stood up and pulled her chair off. It seemed that she wanted Lena to sit here instead. Lena thanked her, and then came to stand next to me. Thank you, Miss Betty. It's fine, it's fine. I do have some things to talk about with our new faces, you see. Betty, having said that, proceeded to sit herself in between Adolf and Mana. What do you mean by that? Lena turned to me, as if asking me specifically. I urged her to take her seat first, and then proceeded to explain to her the whole story so far. By the time I got to the part where everyone had joined up with the silver, from which Lena was greatly surprised by, everyone's dinner was served. And so everyone settled down around the table, and as usual, offered a prayer to God. Our hearts grateful for all the food in front of us, we proceeded to partake in our meal. Considering how every night, countless other households were offering prayers to the Devilkin instead, well, I really don't want to think about it, to be honest. Is something the matter, Sir Asley? Well, nothing. Oh, actually there's one thing. So Tifa was sleeping in my room when I came back, you see. She immediately left when she woke up, though, do you happen to know what's up with her? Arcane energy instantly filled the air of the dining room. It was so intense that everyone, absolutely everyone, stopped eating. It wasn't even hostile. Just, absurdly, turbulent. I don't understand why this would be the case, but, the source of that arcane energy was Lena, her glass cup beginning cracking in her tightening grip. Oh. So. Tifa was, in your room, perhaps great impact would be the appropriate word to describe it. It was enough to compel even Pochi to stop eating, after all. All eyes were not on Lena, but on me. And Ryan, the only one here who seemed to still be calm, even showed a look of curiosity. It's like they're stabbing me, man, who knew getting stared at could hurt so much. I mean, she did look pretty tired, so, yeah, she probably was tired. Why would I even say the same thing twice? I hadn't even known that Tifa was in my room in the first place, so there was no way that I'd know the right thing to say, either. Amid the cold stares, I totally forgot about the food as I, clueless as I was, chucked out one excuse after another. Gah, I'll say this now. Both mentally and physically, I'm pretty sure I'm the most exhausted man in the world right now. It was so surprising how Lena's arcane energy just never stopped coming. As far as being a mage is concerned, she's a freaking genius. That was the impression I'd gotten from her. Ryan very much appreciated how strong she had become, but Bruce had, expressed a slight bit of reservation. After Lena had gotten back to her room, Bruce had said to me, man. If she was actually angry, I bet she'd be scarier than even Betty. As one would expect, Bruce was promptly put out of commission by Betty's triple combo, his knockout solidified by Lala's 10 count. And if my excellent pupil were to be scarier than that, well, she would turn out to be quite fearsome indeed. As we went on later into the night, the dining room grew quieter and quieter. Only 6 of us remained here now, me, Pochi, Ryan, Bruce, Blazer, and Czar. Betty had gone back to her room earlier because she had been put on breakfast duty tomorrow. As for Reed and Mana, they were planning to get some work from the guild tomorrow. Once everyone else was asleep, we started talking about the incidents that had been happening these past few days. So, Asley, do you happen to know something about the assault kobold with the black aura? There isn't quite enough information to work on, but I think that's not black magecraft. It's more likely some magic with applied effects of the reverse soul discipline. And what would that reverse soul be? Reverse soul, it is the taboo art of raising the dead. Those brought back are devoid of intelligence and logic, rendering them inhuman. We have only heard about them from anecdotes ourselves. Czar took the chance to answer Ryan's question in detail. That's messed up, man. Sir Asley, what did you mean by its applied effects? Contrary to its name, the reverse soul never involved any actual reviving, you see. All it does is fill a vessel, in this case a dead body, with powerful arcane energy and control it with sustained magic. That is a naturally occurring phenomenon, mind you. Ah, you mean the ghouls and zombies and those kinds of monsters, Master? Right. Those monsters are essentially dead bodies, be it human or otherwise, coming alive after coming in contact with arcane energy in the air. And by the applied effect, I meant that it might have been used on a living target instead of a dead one. Then what about the monster corpses that got their hearts gouged out? We were wondering the same. Could there be a plausible explanation for that, Sir Asley? The reverse soul in its original form is quite a dangerous branch of magic, you see. So much so that it could draw out every last point of the user's arcane energy. Which is why I believe this particular user had used bodies of targets on the brink of death, or at least, not immediately dead. Theoretically, a barely alive vessel would have some arcane energy left in them. The caster may have used those bodies' residual arcane energy to feed that one assault kobold's corpse instead. I see. In short, the caster used the bodies of other monsters as substitutes in order to be on the safe side. I nodded in agreement with Ryan's statement. At the same time, Bruce clicked his tongue, annoyed and unnerved. That thing's no joke, man, indeed. And so, considering the timing. That man is a likely suspect. The man who attacked my home. Cleeth, was he now? But why would he do that, sir? If the reverse soul was performed on the spot, then that would mean Beilanea was his target. But in terms of the kobold strength, wasn't it just a bit below rank A? Wouldn't it make more sense for him to use some stronger monster? Bah, leave it to my familiar to think up scary alternative scenarios. She was right, though. I still don't know what his motives are, but it's likely that his spell isn't complete yet. So that was a test run, then. It would make sense that the assault kobold was already missing an arm, and that he used a C-ranked monster instead of something stronger. Yes. Beilanea is full of personnel able to take down even monsters close to rank A, after all. This way, it makes it easier to get rid of the evidence, too. Even if he failed, some adventurers will probably turn up to take care of things some time down the line. And this approach would not have worked out if you were to try it near the royal capital. But you know, if that spell is completed, then it would be a big problem. Blazer's words made the dining room fall into an even deeper silence than it already was. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.